Good morning. This is Pastor Aaron Bartmus from Edgemont Church in Bristol, Tennessee. And I thought I'd talk to you today a little bit about peace. We live in times right now where there's so much uncertainty, and especially over the last few weeks, there's been so much unrest. And a good question is, where do we find peace? And how can we have peace? And so I wanted to read today from John's Gospel, chapter 16, and verses 32 and 33. The context is that this is the night that Jesus is going to be betrayed and crucified, and he is trying to get his disciples ready, and these are the words that he has to say. Behold, the hour is coming, indeed it has come, when you will be scattered each to his own home, and will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, for the Father is with me. I have said these things to you, so that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And so, Jesus outright says that he says these things so that we can have peace in him. And what does he exactly say? Well, first he shows the disciples that he knows them very well, knows them so well, in fact, he knows their future. He says that the time's coming when they're going to scatter. When Jesus was crucified, his apostles largely ran away and hid from the danger. It was not their proudest moment, and yet you don't detect Jesus showing them any scorn in today's passage because he loves them. And that's a comfort, friend. It's a comfort to know that the Lord knows even our weaknesses, even the weaknesses that we will show in the future, and yet he loves us. In fact, it was the very reason why he was approaching this very night where he was going to be crucified, because he loved his people enough that even knowing their sin, he was still willing to go for them. So Jesus knows us, and that is something that can give us peace, because he knows our hearts. He knows exactly what we need, which brings us to the second thing, which is that Jesus is with us. Now, I hope you noticed that Jesus said when his disciples were going to scatter and each one go to his own home, leaving him alone, he said, "But I'm not alone, for the Father is with me." Jesus was well aware of the fact that his union with God the Father meant that God was with him all the time. And friend, I wanted to share with you this morning that another measure of comfort that we can have is that because Jesus has already ascended to heaven and he sent his Holy Spirit to come and live among us, that we can say the same thing now. We're never alone. Even if everyone around us forsakes us, even if the people we love the most turn their backs on us, yet Jesus never will. He is with us. He is always walking beside us, helping us. And consider how mighty he is. It's a pleasant and wonderful thing to know that Jesus is with us all the time. It's something that I know I need to take to heart, that Jesus never leaves me alone. He always walks with me. Whatever trouble I may walk through, he walks through it with me. Which brings us to the last point of comfort that Jesus offers his disciples. He says, "In this world you will face many troubles, but take heart, I have overcome the world." And consider that, because think about even the trouble that his disciples were going to face that very night, the tribulations he was talking about. They were going to see Jesus crucified. And yet Jesus says, before it even happens, "I have overcome the world." Why? Because he knew precisely what the effect of the cross was going to be. That he would take away his people's sin completely, leaving us pure in the sight of God because of his sacrifice. And so Jesus can rightly say, he has overcome the world. And Father, consider, friend, even beyond that, Jesus here has the future in mind as well. Because you see, there's going to come a day where not only will God's people's sins be washed away completely as they are now, there will come a day when Jesus restores this world to the way that God had in mind. A world no longer afflicted by the curse of Adam and Eve's fall. A world where people no longer wrestle with sin and destroy God's creation and hate each other and bring war and tribulation and anxiety and fear and murder. Those things will be done. They'll be part of the past. because Jesus, when he comes back, is going to restore things to the way that they ought to be. One, people loving their God with all their heart and soul and mind and strength in a world renewed by the mighty power of God. That's the future that lays in store for us, friends. Heaven will come down to earth. And that's something to look forward to. And it's something to give your heart peace, as for now you have to be patient during times of difficulty. So I hope that you'll consider what Jesus says. Remember, he's with you. He guides your future. And he promises you something better for the days to come. Lord bless you all. I hope you have a great Sunday, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.